man to tell you that those phones traveled up the stairs together. Who brought them up the stairs together? First of all, who did that? Even if we agree that 12-second lapse was just the phones not being regulated and it wasn't the defendant following Mr. Barrett up the stairs with her own phone, even if we believe that those phones came up the stairs at the same time, who brought them up there? And why is she talking about touching his phone? Maybe it's because once she got in the room and she's planting evidence in the crime scene, she goes and gets Mr. Barron's phone and puts it in his pocket. Got my phone, got his phone, gonna walk up the stairs, puts his phone in his pocket, cleans up the rest of the scene, calls 911. We know he didn't have the journal in the room with him. Then all of a sudden she says, I touched everything in there. So first we went from I touched nothing to I touched everything, because he keeps asking her, because her story's not adding up. Your story's not adding up. I don't understand. Please explain it to me. It's not adding up. I don't understand. Oh, well, actually, really, I touched everything. Really, I just touched everything. I touched his phone in his back pocket, pushed the gun out of the way. My hands are all in his blood. This guy would text me, but I told him about the guy. Now, all of a sudden, they have motive for Mr. Barron seeing the text, and now he's in this horrible rage and forces her to commit aggravated sodomy on him. I just pushed the gun out of the way. Oh, I was waiting for police sitting on the stairs. We saw her. She's wiping up the blood. She's walking down the stairs, sees the deputy, turns around, goes back up the stairs, does some last-minute cleanup next to Mr. Barron's dead body, then comes to the stairs 2 minutes later. And her body language in the interview, we all saw it. I put one tiny clip in there just because I felt this was a good encapsulation of how she acted in this interview. This is after she finds out Mr. Barron has not made it. This is after that, and she's wailing and fake crying and all the things. And at one point, I want you to watch, she gets up, she goes, and first she bangs her arms against the wall, something she does many, many times, both on scene as well as in the interview room, bangs her arms on the wall of the door, or on the wall. Then she turns around, leans her back up against the wall, pauses, looks over at Investigator Mefford to make sure that he's watching. Then the wailing begins again. Oops. Let's watch it again with sound.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh.
By the way, that goes on for 10 minutes. I counted. 10 minutes, nobody says a single word, and she does that without a single tear, without a single reach of a tissue, without a single wipe of the nose. 10 whole minutes. What is beyond a reasonable doubt? What does that mean? It's not beyond all doubt. It's not beyond a shadow of a doubt. And it's not to a mathematical certainty. What beyond a reasonable doubt is a doubt for which reason can be given. It's a doubt for which reason can be given. It's about your common sense, and it's about your reason. It's not a doubt for which an unreasonable reason can be given. It's a doubt which a reasonable reason can be given. And at the beginning of this trial, Ms. Bagwell got up and she told you
It was you who acted so terribly to have some persons call the police. And her response immediately is to go, oh, yeah, I forgot about this one. You're so drunk you can't even talk. And then she immediately backtracks. I fell and hit my head. I talked to them today. Don't worry, you're good. And I fell and hit my head. They heard me yell. I talked to them today. You did nothing. I held the door, you pushed, you fell. That's it. Everything's fine here. All she talks about is Lilia. You bet. Let's talk about Lilia for a second. Why is he sending these women money? Who are these women? From this other country that he's just sending money to? Who are they? What do you think? What do you think? This is the only thing she's permitted to talk about. This is it. That's why it's all over the text. It's the only thing she can complain about. This. Did you notice this? Did you notice they put in all these texts between Suzanne and Evan and that they stopped on February the 15th? Did you notice that? Remember what happened on February the 16th? When he went cruising up to that same bedroom behind this same door. Comes down when he's darn good and ready. Wakes her up by tapping on her foot with a firearm. And she runs out of the house, gets into her car as he's running out the front door. We also know this is when she'd started communicating with Charlie English. What was she doing with every single text that she got from Charlie English, except for the last one? Deleting them immediately. State's medical examiner, I want to talk just quickly about this. There's an injury to Mr. Barron's bridge of his nose from the fall, and there's stippling around his face. Remember, the state's medical examiner said that that's pseudo stippling from the material from the door that came through. Just want to remind you guys of that in case we get stuck on it later. Did you think this? Did you notice this? Did you notice when they called the medical examiner, were you thinking, hey, where's time of death? Were you thinking that? I missed it. Why didn't they put that in there? Why didn't they put that in there? I was like, oh, it's this thing, this Hall County Sheriff's Office jail thing at 10:30. As though she's like, the murder happened, this murder happened hours ago, and she's searching for the jail and deletes it. Remember that whole deletion thing? They were more than happy. They were more than happy to put in this deletion and let you guys believe that that really happened. To make your decision. So you put your name on a verdict form. They're more than happy to give you that, this deletion. That never happened. She didn't even look at this on March 7th. It's from March 3rd. It was a tab that was on her phone. But they were happy to give it to you like that. And we had to have one of the best experts in the world, frankly, to come in here and tell you that's not correct. And what else did he tell you? 1:06 a.m., both of those phones are going up the stairs together. Both of them at the same time. Don't you honestly think that they have the ability to find that out too? Why did we have to do it? Didn't you want to know that? Why do we have to do it? Not only do the phones go up the stairs together, they don't come back down. They don't come back down. What does that tell you? We know for a fact she fires through the door. And what's the thing she does next? She has to run down into the garage, get a hammer, run back up the stairs, and hammer through this door to try to save this man's life. The phone doesn't make the trip. She doesn't call 911 yet. Why? She doesn't have her phone because he stole it. He just took it from her like he took whatever else he wanted to take. Just took it. We know for a fact he had the phone. It never made the trip back down the stairs. The state has suggested that Mr. Barron removes himself. He removes himself. That's what he does. He's such a calm person that he just removes himself from the situations. This guy's not removing himself. He's regrouping. It's part of his control. He comes down when he's good and ready. He took her phone back in September at the hotel, left her in the room, came back up and did what he wanted. He took her phone on March the 7th. And we can prove it, and we did. But they weren't going to give you that. We had to. She's 5'5". She weighs 120 pounds. This man is 6'3". He weighs 235 pounds. All he has to do is put his hands on her. It's over. And he did. And he did. If it's true, he's the removal guy, and he's got a 0.0 BAC on March 7th, why doesn't he walk out and go rent a hotel? He's got the only keys to the only functional car. If he's afraid of her or whatever, he can walk right out that.
In place until he has agreed that you will not suffer any person to speak to him, nor speak to him yourselves, unless by order of the court, or to ask him if he has agreed. And when he has agreed, you will return him into court unless the court shall otherwise order, so help you God.
We will stand at recess for final deliberation. All rise, please.
Please exit the courtroom.
Because he wants to come back down. He wants to take her phone, know she's isolated, and come down when he's ready. Don't close your eyes tonight. Don't you close your eyes tonight. This is super important to me. Maybe not to you guys, but I hope it is. What's new on March 7th, 2025? What's the new information? She's known about Lilia since December the 28th. What's new? What motivates her to do anything to him? What's new is the Charlie English text. He saw it. He became enraged and unhinged. Choked her, pulled her down on her knees, put his sex organ in her mouth, told her to suck it, and he just took his pistol and put it right on her lips. Did you notice that in the interview? You said he put it in your mouth. No, I didn't say I put it in my mouth. She corrects him right away. Right to my lips. My lips. There's something else in her mouth. We know she was trying to move on. She was talking to her sister about it. We know she's talking to somebody else. How does he react to her moving on? Well, with violence. She'd never seen him like this before. I want to talk to you about her statement, okay? I want to talk to you specifically about some law that you're going to get from the judge about that. The judge is going to tell you that in determining whether the defendant's statement was voluntary, you should consider whether the defendant was accurately advised of her constitutional rights and whether she clearly and understood and knowingly gave up those rights. If you failed to find she was properly informed of those rights and that she understood and gave them up, you must disregard the statement entirely and give it no consideration in your verdict. You have that power with that statement. You can do it. It's a garbage statement. It's not worth nothing. And let's talk about the investigator that got it. You remember when I was showing him the pictures of her injuries? And I said, hey, I'll show you the pictures of her injuries that I've showed you before. And you said, accurately reflect how they were. Well, yeah, I said that before, but I mean, it was only open court. You handed them to me. I didn't have time to look at them or something. I even forgot what he said. I wasn't ready. I need all the information ahead of time or something. This is Mr. Firearms training. He's had like 2 hours of domestic violence training. He's never had a homicide case before in his life. And yet, in the area where he is the most trained in firearms, I say to him, if somebody is over there shaking like this, if somebody's over there shaking like this, they may not be so accurate with how their shot is. And he goes, they're still going to hit the target. You remember that? Wild. Wild. Remember Miss Bennett questioning Miss Mericle about her choices, her reasonable choices? What was the reasonable option? Your most reasonable option was to shoot the lock, she said. Your most reasonable option? As though in this scene, in this scenario, with what's been done to her in the past, with what he's done to her on this night, she's sitting there going, what is my most reasonable option here? I know, I'll examine the outside of the door and see if I can pick it with a screwdriver. It's insane. It's insane. That's not how a mind works in a situation like this. It can't. can't. I want to talk to you about this 216 DUI arrest. This is super important. Super important. Really is. That's the night that he went up to that room and locked that door and came down later, woke her up by tapping her on the foot with his firearm. And the government suggests to you that because there's a note in her phone writing out what happened on that night, that really, frankly, everything in that note's true. Can you imagine being so frightened of someone, so frightened of making a mistake and telling the truth about what someone had done to you, that you have to rehearse it in your phone? You have to rehearse it in your phone. And that's what she did. And we know, without a doubt, that what is in that phone, that note, is false, false, false. And you can know it straight to your bones. You want to know why? And I'm sure most of you are already here, but for those who aren't, in the note, she says, I get up and David's there. He comes down. I calmly go to the car. Goodbye. He's on the step. Goodbye. Goodbye. Really? We're going to talk about this one in a second. Last one. Why does he call her 18 times when she leaves? 18 times. And she's ignoring every call. "18 times. That happened. He came out of that door. He touched her with his firearm, and he tried to rape her anally. And she was so afraid to tell anybody about that she practiced her story in her phone. And it's false. Miss Bennett questioning Dr. Elkon, you remember? Dr. Elkon, what about this jail intake screening question from March 16th, the DUI arrest night? What about that? Doesn't it say on there, does the inmate have bruises? Doesn't it say on there that? Dr. Elkon's like, yeah, that's a screening question that somebody asks you when you get checked in the jail. Do you have bruises? No. Have you attempted suicide? No. Oh, well then that proves it. Sure. She wasn't dressed out. Nobody examined her body. And if they had, which is what was suggested to you, if they had, and checked off a form, do you honestly believe that the state wouldn't call that person as a witness? You believe that? Me neither. Dr. Elkon. Dr. Elkon. She's done 5,000 forensic examinations. 5,000. This is a person who worked for the state when people would claim that they were not guilty by reason of insanity. I don't know what I'm doing. Her job was to ferret out liars for years. Then she worked at the VA for 7 years doing PTSD work. She testifies for the state 75% of the time. 75% of the time. And she tells you Suzanne Mericle has PTSD. She has PTSD from David Barron's actions. What was the action? What was what they called the index event? Do you remember? It's a gun on the lips. Not in the mouth, on the lips. She's watched all of those body cameras. She's seen this behavior from Suzanne that you guys all watched, and she tells you that's an acute trauma response. There's nothing on there to suggest otherwise at all. Oh, well, she's being paid by the defense, they would say. You can't believe a word she has to say. Okay, fine. What about EMS? What about EMS? You saw them, they showed up. Who called them? The deputy. This person's having a panic attack. They show up, what do? They check her heart rate. Oh my gosh, it's elevated. We need to take you to the hospital. Can you imagine? There's a murder investigation going on. EMS shows up and says, we need to take this person to the hospital. That's literally what they're telling the police. Heart rate's elevated. This is what they do for a living. This person needs to go. Does Suzanne take that opportunity and go, great, yeah, I'm losing it here. My method acting has worked perfectly. Let's go to the hospital. Nope. Nope. Dr. Elkon told you if somebody's faking a mental health episode, that's what they want. They want somebody to go, okay, this is a mental health problem. She goes, nope. What is PTSD? PTSD is exposure to what? A life-threatening event. A life-threatening event. It's what it is. It's what it is. It's what she has. Guns at her lips. That's the event. And then we got into well, what about the counseling records at the jail? She says she doesn't like jail as well. Well, yeah, her lawyer told her not to talk at all about her case and the facts of her case, even with her therapist. And that's my fault, right? Because she didn't even get a chance to have that, to have that dealt with. She just held it. But what has she got? Hypervigilance, claustrophobia, hopelessness, frequent nightmares, increased heart rate and sweating, withdrawal, flat affect, the low monotone voice that they observed from her, and no eye contact. Remember that? That was the thing the deputy said. Well, I believed her at first, and she didn't make eye contact with me later on, and I thought maybe she was faking it. And the last one. I don't deserve anything better. That's what she was reporting. If Dr. Elkon is incorrect, if her testing is invalid, if her procedures are not up to snuff, why didn't the government call an expert to say, she did it wrong? If she's off, where's the person to say why? You didn't get it. Because it doesn't exist. Because it's correct. I want to talk just quickly about some of the things Ms. Bennett said. She told you that Suzanne went into self-preservation mode after the shot through the door. Did you hear it? She went into self-preservation mode. By sprinting down the stairs to grab a hammer, bash through a door, injure herself right here, trying to get through it to get to him. Self-preservation mode. And she picks up his gun, and she told you what she did with it. Twice. And we told you she was going to tell you that. Self-preservation mode. They say she put Mr. Barron's hand on the gun to fire the shot. Really? His left hand? He's a right-hander. She put his left hand on the gun? This is her genius plan? Okay. Does that make any sense? She staged the crime scene, they say. The world's greatest performance. Let me talk to you about the self-defense charge that you're going to get, okay? A defendant is justified in using force that's intended or likely to cause death or serious bodily injury. Justified in using force that's likely to cause death or great bodily injury when they reasonably believe that the use of such force is necessary to prevent death or serious bodily injury to herself or the commission of a forcible felony. What's a forcible felony? Aggravated assault by strangulation, which he'd already done downstairs. Aggravated sodomy, which he'd already done downstairs. And malice murder. Malice murder. Which he told her he was going to do. Don't close your eyes tonight. I'll shove this gun down your effing throat. Have self-defense apply. She only has to reasonably believe to boil it down even further. Self-defense means Suzanne's allowed to use deadly force if she reasonably believes it's necessary to prevent death, serious injury, or forcible felony, even if the shot that killed her, the outcome she doesn't have to intend to be killing Mr. Barron to claim self-defense. And the state has the burden of proving to you beyond a reasonable doubt that her action, that shot, that one shot, was not justified. The judge is going to tell you this as well. He's going to tell you the defendant's use of deadly force may be justified even when there's not even been physical contact between anyone. There's no prerequisite for actual physical contact. We have loads of physical contact in this case. If the menacing action of the alleged victim is sufficient to create reasonable belief that the defendant's life is in imminent danger, the defendant is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury, or is about the defendant's use of deadly force may be judged. And the state has to disprove that to you beyond reasonable doubt. You can think of it like this. At the top would be, let's say, we've proven to you beyond a reason, we, the defense, which we don't have a burden at all, but let's say we had proven to you self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Verdict would be not guilty. Even if you think it's probably self-defense, not guilty. Perhaps self-defense, not guilty. May not be self-defense, not guilty. Unlikely self-defense, not guilty. Not self-defense, not guilty. Highly unlikely self-defense, the verdict still under the law is not guilty. The only way you get to the guilty box is if the state has proven it beyond a reasonable doubt that it was not. That's the law. It has the burden of proving you two things. One, that it wasn't self-defense. We just talked about that. And if they get past that, if somehow they got past that, we go into here, each of the elements of the charge, offense, and indictment. So let's talk about what those are. Now, here's the indictment. Unlawfully with malice aforethought, causing the death of James Barron. So what does that boil down to? With malice aforethought's the intent to kill without justification. In other words, without self-defense. Intent to kill. Deliberate intention to unlawfully take the life of another person. Deliberate intention. Abandoning the heart. Murder count. That's what it boils down to. That shot through a closed door. That shot through a closed door where she can't see a single thing on the other side of that door. And the only thing she's got to know where he is hearing. And I guess under the state's theory, once you take 3 classes at a gun range, you've become James Bond or Jason Bourne I know where he is, and a kill shot to a closed door. It's insane. A million times I'm trying to shoot the lock. I'm trying to shoot the lock. I'm trying to shoot the lock off. I'm trying to shoot the lock. No, government says, ignore that. Ignore that. Intending to kill him through a closed door, and she can't even hear where he is. The only time she hears where he is, he's in the bed. Remember? He's on the bed. By the way, how would you suck this in from this? When you're really trying to, right? She's 5'5". This actor. You're gonna see. I did not go like that. It was like this. Intent to kill. Insane. Insane. Aggravated assault. We've only got two more, okay? Aggravated assault. This one's a little bit trickier, okay? And I'm going to go through it with you so you don't, I want you to make sure you know it. Assault by assault. The act. Bring a weapon.